Hello, how's everybody doing? See, I have this weird connection with Russia. My experience in this universe has always drawn attention to my mind about Russia, or I don't know how to explain it, but ever since I was 17, it seems I have been pulled into the Russian world, and there's always, little physical signs around me that remind me of Russia, that teach me something about Russia, uh, or that encourage me or entice me to learn something about Russia. And I have this like sixth sense when it comes to anything involved in Russia. I never really paid attention to, female oligarchs in Russia. And about 3 days ago, I did a search, and I was looking at the richest women in Russia. One of the top ones was Natalia Fileva, and she was worth like $600 or $700 million. She's the co-owner of the like only private airline in Russia. It's called S7 Airlines. Now I've never flown on S7, but people would call her the female Elon Musk of Russia. She was real, innovative with passenger experience and updating. She basically owned the flagship airliner that all of the state-owned airline companies would follow, because she's not a bureaucrat like the people who run Aeroflot and Russia Airlines, which is just a company under Aeroflot. But all since she was private sector capitalist, she was required to innovate to keep up with market trends and market demands, and the rest of Russia's government ran companies would follow suit. I don't know why I've focused in on her. There was, I think it was the top 10 or top 15 women in Russia I was looking at, and she was in like the top few. And for some reason, my imagination got stuck on her, and I started reading about her and her daughter Tatiana. I didn't read much about her husband, but I just saw a video that showed she had been killed in a plane crash. Now, normally when the Russians assassinate somebody, through an aircraft disaster, there's normally one or two other Russians on the plane. You can see this a lot with all the Palestinian hijackings during the 60s. The KGB would have it'd be like some Egyptian airliner or something, full of Arabs and, or Jews. But then coincidentally, there'd be like two Russian passengers on board, and that plane would crash and everyone would die. What I noticed with her is that she was on a private propeller plane it was the same type that her husband owned, and it hasn't been confirmed if it's the same plane, but in Germany, she was on her way to some small town, I guess in the south of Germany, or somewhere in Germany. On board was a pilot. I don't know if he was a Russian, but his name was Artur, which is a very common Russian name, and her husband. So, and the plane crashes and they all die. So think about that. She's the co-owner. I guess she probably has a minority or majority share or something with the airline, and the rest is probably private capitalists or family members or something. And she dies, and the one person who would inherit or take over the airline happened to be right next to her with her death. I believe this is a typical SVR assassination, just like, with all the poisonings and, firearm assassinations. And for those of you who don't know, the SVR is foreign intelligence. Russia has three intelligence agencies, and the KGB is internal. The SVR is foreign intelligence, and then there's the GRU, which is military intelligence. And yeah, so I guarantee you this is what's going to happen. Aeroflot is going to take over this company, and nobody in her family, not even Tatiana, who's the chief marketing officer of S7 Airlines, is going to try to oppose it in court. Because the message has been sent to her family, we will kill you. This is how the oligarchs, there's the big multi-billionaire oligarchs, and they have little wars with the smaller regional oligarchs. And this is a perfect textbook example of it. They will kill or imprison someone in charge and take over the company through some loophole or some law. I feel so bad for her kids. I mean, she has this one right here, she has a harsh, scary type of personality, most describe her as. But, Natalia, I'm not sure if I should call her a good person or a bad person, because I'm not that familiar with her business dealings. I'm sure she did something that would be considered unethical to get this company in the 90s or whenever it was she acquired it. But she did build on it and make it a lot better, and she, became the child that all the other airlines followed, so she is a leader. But her daughter, Tatiana, who would essentially inherit this company, she's the eldest child, she's a chief marketing officer, she probably owns a certain amount of shares, I'm not sure. But watch, Aeroflot is going to take this company, and there's going to be no objection from the family, and they're probably going to flee the country. And this is just the reality in Russia. When these oligarchs go to war with these smaller oligarchs, there's no rule of law. Every judge knows if they rule in favor of what's right and what's moral, if it's in conflict with the oligarch's interest, they will lose their job as a judge and be a social pariah forever, because everyone will be scared of getting close to that person because they're afraid they will have some type of repercussions from the state. So keep an eye out on this and watch. I guarantee you Aeroflot, or I'm going to make a bet that Aeroflot takes over this company and nobody from her family gets any of it.